Thank you all for joining us here tonight for the American Tobacco Waterline Replacement Phase 2 public meeting. As Joe mentioned, we do have Murtado Bustillos is with us today as a Spanish interpreter. For any Spanish-speaking people, they may join the Spanish channel. Murtado, if you had any additional information.
Yes, thank you so much, Nolan. Of course, we're very grateful with your commitment to language justice. I'm going to make an announcement in Spanish for those participants who may be on the call that speak Spanish only so that they can join the interpretation. Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la reunión del proyecto de reemplazo de la tubería de agua del distrito American Tobacco, la fase 2. Para conectarse a la interpretación, vayan al globo, a la parte inferior de la pantalla o a los 3 puntos donde dice más. Seleccionen interpretación, español y de esta manera pueden participar en español. A cualquier pregunta, por favor, póngala en el chat para poderles indicar cómo se hace si necesitan alguna dirección específica. Okay, that's all for me. I send it back to you, Nolan. Just give it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And once again, welcome. We appreciate you all being here this evening for the public meeting for the American Tobacco Waterline Replacement Phase 2 project. First, we'll introduce some project representatives that will be involved with this project moving forward. I guess my name is Nolan Rainey with Kimley Horn & Associates. I will be assisting the city as a construction administrator throughout the project. Also with us today is Wade Tong, with the Department of Water Management, serving as the city's project manager throughout the construction phase of the project. Terraflex Group will be the construction contractor that will be completing the work. John Patrick is a senior project manager, and CJ Rizzo, who has joined us today, will be the project manager and the face that will be on site throughout the project. Ricky Suggs will serve as the resident project representative. Ricky will be on site throughout the construction project while any construction activities are taking place, and can be a contact as well, in addition to the other folks mentioned on the slide. And so this evening, we're going to talk through several items as shown on the screen. First, a little bit of an overview of the project and summarizing what the project includes. Talk a little bit about the need for the project. Why is it happening? We'll talk about the construction phasing and how the work is anticipated to take place. What those impacts may look like for the general public and for stakeholders in this project area. And then finally, how to stay informed throughout the project and understand what's taking place. So first off, the construction project phasing. This project is actually the third project in a series of improvements to replace existing water lines near the American Tobacco District of downtown Durham. The first project in green, the Buchanan Boulevard Waterline Replacement Project, included most work on the west side of the freeway. The second project, which was called American Tobacco Phase 1, was the yellow project area and generally on the west side of the American Tobacco campus. And the third project, which we're talking about tonight, is called American Tobacco Waterline Phase 2. And that's the pinkish area on this slide. This slide shows a little bit more focused picture on just that Phase 2 project area. You'll see generally it includes from the American Tobacco campus going east, including Pettigrew, Blackwell, some parts of Moorhead, Jackie Robinson, Mangum, Roxborough, Dillard, and Ramsar streets are several of the corridors where the project work will take place. A summary of the project, of the Phase 2 project. The project will replace about 11,500 linear feet of existing 1920s and 1930s era water lines. Many of these water lines were installed nearly 100 years ago, are cast iron water lines and have served a useful life and are in need of replacement. As we replace those water lines, we'll also be upgrading and reconnecting existing water services. There are also a number of fire lines, fire hydrants, and other associated services in addition to water services. We'll also be installing about 5,000 linear feet of 36-inch transmission main. That's a large diameter pipe that carries a lot of water throughout along the city's corridor. This will replace an existing 24-inch water line that is generally running along the North Carolina Railroad corridor in downtown Durham. This larger diameter new transmission main will allow for that old water line to be abandoned. On the sanitary sewer side, we'll also be rehabilitating or replacing select sanitary sewer lines in the project area. And then finally, as all of this work is completed, we'll be completing pavement repairs in those construction areas where pavement has been impacted. For the timeline, the construction is anticipated to begin here in September of 2025. The overall duration of the project is anticipated to take around 18 months, which will put construction completion in the spring of 2027. So why is this project needed? I touched a little bit on the previous slide, but first, primarily, it's to replace aging infrastructure. As I mentioned, many of these water lines have had a useful life of nearly 100 years, and replacing these water lines will provide a better service reliability, as noted on bullet 2 on the slide. The photo on the slide is a picture of an existing water line in an adjacent project area that was replaced. You can see just over time, it's natural to build up material in that pipe, and replacing this, these water lines will provide a higher reliability of service to users in this project area. We also will improve the fire flow ability to serve this project area. As you may expect, our fire flow demands that are required here in 2025 are much different than there were back in 1930. And so these new water lines will be sized appropriately to make sure that we are able to meet the fire flow demands of today, but also into the future for this area. So going back a little bit to the construction phasing in the timeline, this picture shows the general sequence in anticipated areas when work will take place across this project area. Big picture, the work is anticipated to take place beginning on the west side of the project area and progress going east. The first phase of work, generally from now through January of 26, is the purple highlighted areas. As we move further east, the green highlighted areas will occur in the spring and summer of 2026, followed by work on the eastern side of the project area in the red, in the pink areas in late 26 into early 2027. Of course, all of this work can be impacted by unknown conflicts, weather, or other factors that may come into play throughout this project area. So we'll be updating a map like this throughout the project to inform, to keep up to date on the schedules of the work. Zooming in a little bit more on that first section of work that will take place in the fall of 2025. The green areas are the first areas where we'll see construction taking place, generally along Chapel Hill Street in the western end of Pettigrew Street, and then also along Willard Street where it transitions to Jackie Robinson Drive near the ATC South deck. Those will be our first areas as construction continues going east towards Blackwell Street. Once again, these are our anticipated timelines, but we'll be continuing to update this map and other outreach as those real-time schedules are determined as construction progresses. So what will construction look like? Trucks and equipment will be bringing materials to and from the work site on a daily basis and multiple times per day to bring materials to the site for installation. Many of those materials will be staged off-site and then will need to be brought to the site for installation. When a water line is installed, you may see multiple passes or some different periods of work on that water line installation. First, a water line will be installed along a corridor, and you'll see that work taking place. There may be what appears to be a pause in work as that water line is then tested and approved and being ready to place into service. Once it's approved and passed all testing, you'll see a little bit more activity come back to reconnect those water services from the new main to the existing water services. And so there may be a little bit, you may wonder why that's taking place. That's a little bit of the background as to how those water service reconnections take place. The work in this area will generally be taking place within the right of way in some minor easement locations. Many of our water services are located near the property line. And so you'll see work up to those meters taking place. When a water line is installed, there will be a temporary asphalt patch that will be placed back to sort of patch that road and get it back into active service. There'll be a little bit more of a robust asphalt restoration that takes place in a larger chunk as a larger segment of water line is installed. In the work areas, in the active work areas, we may see phased lane or road closures with flaggers or detour routes to help traffic either access areas or have signs to indicate detour routes that may be used. In pictures, a little bit of what I described, these are some representative pictures of construction in adjacent areas of Durham. The picture on the far left is a water line with a valve that's buried in the ground. We don't ask the public to see this. This is in a construction zone, but this is what you may see if you were to look down into the hole of a construction trench. And that's what's being installed. The middle picture is an example of some construction that you would see from above, an excavator either installing the utility or backfilling a trench. On the far right is asphalt being installed and being compacted in place. And so that's part of that restoration activity to return a road to service following a waterline installation. Safety is paramount for both workers and the general public throughout any construction project, and this one in particular. We do understand that there is a lot of pedestrian activity and vehicles in and around this project area. We do ask that the public stay behind work zone barriers to make sure that they are in a safe environment. And so the contractor will be setting up barriers to make sure that we're denoting where pedestrians may and may not be. A traffic control plan has been reviewed and approved by both DOT and the city transportation that will be implemented as work occurs in this project area. There'll be varying road and lane closures that restrict traffic to those active construction areas. And talking a little bit more about those traffic and pedestrian impacts. For traffic, we do anticipate there will be parking, lane, and some limited full road closures to accommodate this work. Where that does happen, there will be traffic control with flaggers or detours to maintain traffic in this project area. Maintaining access to businesses, though, is still critical. And so we'll be making sure that we do maintain access to businesses throughout all portions of the project. Pedestrian impacts should be fairly limited. Most of our installations are within existing roadways. As I mentioned before, some of the meters are located in sidewalks and in some fire line connections and some fire hydrants. And so I think our pedestrian impacts will be primarily limited to those service reconnections and similar type of work. When those do take place, we will detour sidewalks to the opposite side of the street to be able to maintain pedestrian traffic as well. Our goal for businesses and residences in this area is to maintain access throughout. We certainly want to work with businesses and residences to make sure that their businesses and homes can be accessed throughout the entire life of the project. In terms of traffic, we do have some select night and weekend work that will be required in this project area. We also have some work restrictions for specific events in and around several of the key areas, including DBAP, DPAC, and the American Tobacco Campus. And so when there's an event, we do have some limited construction hours that will be allowed in those immediate vicinity of those facilities. Noise is always is unavoidable with construction. We will try to minimize that as much as we can. Our typical work hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So hopefully we can minimize that nighttime noise impact. However, nighttime work will be required in some areas. In terms of water service interruptions, all planned water service interruptions will be coordinated with users at least 7 days in advance and coordinated at a time that will work for them, especially with some of our businesses in this area, to make sure that we can reconnect a service at a time with minimal disruptions. So what can we expect in the coming months? You'll start to see some activity in and around the project area, especially in those first work areas that we saw on that schedule. There'll be a pre-construction video taking place to document all of the existing conditions of sidewalks and roads and other features. When we're done with our work, we'll make sure that those features are put back to match or be better than their pre-existing condition, anything that we do impact. There'll be more notifications that will come out to stakeholders via email, via door hangers, and other methods as the work gets closer to beginning and transitions to new project areas. You'll see a lot of paint on the ground, those different colors, red, green, orange. Those designate existing utilities that are buried that we'll need to be very careful when we're digging to not disrupt other utilities as well. Traffic control and signage will be in place as work begins, where we need to shift traffic or have a traffic detour. Those signage will be used to make sure that traffic understands where to be. And other notifications, a 7-day notification, both as work begins and also as there any water service interruption may be scheduled. And as I mentioned, construction will be commencing here in September 15th will be when we start to see some of those impacts begin. One other topic that's not related, or that's not solely related to this project, but across the city are the lead and copper rules. You may have received mailers or information about lead and copper throughout the city or beyond. And we'll provide a little bit of background that is related to this project. The city owns a water service, generally from the water main to the water service. Those services are all planned to be replaced within our project area as part of this project. As part of this project, we'll be documenting the existing material of that service on the city side of the project. And that will go into that will be provided to the city for our records and for reporting. On the customer side of the water service, so from the water meter to the building or to your facility, that is the customer owned part of the water service. As part of this project, we do want to document the existing material of this water service for records as well. And so we'll be asking for asking property owners for a right of entry agreement to allow us to access your property to determine what that water service material is and document that for our records. There's also other ways that customers can earn or receive a $30 water utility credit for providing information about their customer side water service material on their own. The website shown on the slide can provide additional information and how to proceed down that path. With very few residences in this project area, this is probably less of a common item for this specific project area, but more broadly used across the city for other residential units in the city. And so how can you stay informed throughout the life of the project? The city will be disseminating information via their normal social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The project website listed here and available via the QR code on the slide. We'll have regular updates on a weekly basis, if not more, as the project continues. We'll be sending out weekly schedule update emails that will generally be sent out every Friday that will describe the coming work over the coming 2 weeks of the project. This will describe the work area, the anticipated roadway impacts, and other key features of that work over the coming 2 weeks. By going to the webpage listed, you may sign up to receive that email. We do encourage you, if you're in the area and interested, to receive that email on a regular basis to be made aware of the work areas. You can also go to the website, and that schedule 2-week look ahead will also be posted each week on the website. Some other contacts in terms of physical people. We will have a full-time construction observer on site. And so there'll be a construction observer, and the contractor will be available on site on a daily basis. Should there be questions, if you're on site in need of a quick answer in an active work area. There are also project contacts on the website, which include myself, Wade, and others that can be reached out to if you have any questions about the project. And so with that, we'll open the floor to any questions here tonight. We do have email addresses for Wade and I. Should there be any questions in the future, you may reach out to us there as well. So with that, we'd welcome any questions that there may be. Well, if there are no questions, we truly do appreciate your time tonight. We thank you for joining us for this public meeting. We do encourage you once again to sign up for those the weekly update emails. And should you have any questions or concerns throughout the life of this project over the coming 18 months or so, please feel free to reach out to Wade, myself, as the project progresses. So thank you very much for your time.